it's so nice to meet you, and it was such an amazing movie to watch, so emotional. How was it working on it?
It was a challenge, but it was a real pleasure. I mean, you can think about, oh, well, is it dark and difficult to work on material which has dark and difficult elements? And maybe to some extent, yes, but actually being with that little boy, you know, having him on set, having him around all the time, that just kept the atmosphere much lighter than you might have expected, you know, because he's so funny, and for him it's just fun. He's not going around thinking about this is a very heavy story and I must be very serious about it. He's playing and enjoying the crew and making jokes, and so that allowed all of us to, I think, have a better time than we would have had we been just a bunch of adults making this film.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Jacob. I'm sure everyone asked you. He was so amazing. How did he surprise you? Or?
He did surprise me. I knew when I saw him, first of all, we looked at lots and lots of kids on tape, and Jake was one of very few that I went and auditioned in person, and he just jumped out of the group. But it wasn't really until we rehearsed, and he was great, and I watched the two of them together, and I felt pretty good. But it wasn't really until we were a few days into filming and he really relaxed, and I realized just what a great actor is there in that boy, you know. Okay, he's very unformed, and he's inexperienced, and he's, of course, has the attention span of a 7-year-old, and sometimes he's not in the mood, and sometimes you really have to help him through the scenes. But when he hits it, he has an amazing talent, and I think it was about a weekend I was looking at assemblies with the editor, and we were looking at Brie and Jake together, and we both sort of felt that sort of sizzle, that there was something really incredibly unusually good about this pair of actors, and particularly together.
Yeah, that's what I loved in the book, and that I thought you portrayed really well, is that the story is sort of through Jack, but the mother is obviously so important, yeah.
That's right.
And so what's your reaction to all these positive critics? And you already won awards, they're talking about more.
I mean, it is like very, you know, it's much nicer when people like things than if they don't. That is one of the great truisms, or one of the great truths, and it's very nice that audiences, particularly that it's audiences who are responding so strongly to it, and that the awards that we've got so far have been audience awards. And I think with a film that could be very dark and bleak, and we didn't want it to be, we wanted it to contain the same sense of hopefulness and be as uplifting as the novel. These responses from the audience are really gratifying, because I think it means that has happened, that we've managed to do that. In terms of the awards hype and everything, I think it's fun, and you know, and I'm not going to be all austere and pretend that it means nothing to me. But on the other hand, I'm not going to get too excited about it. I have no idea how it's going to go, and also I think in terms of myself as a filmmaker, I need to keep. I've never chosen things. I've always chosen quite unusual and difficult projects. And I think that's where my heart lies. And if I were to get all, awards focused in future and think, oh, I like that experience so much on Room, I must do it again, then I don't think I'd make particularly good choices.
Yeah. And the story for this one was just perfect. I mean, what resonated to you the most?
Probably just this very, I thought, beautiful portrait of what it's like to be a child, and also about the challenges of being a parent and how claustrophobic that can be, and how sometimes the last thing you want is that neediness from a child, and I'm a parent, and I have a young boy, and he was like 4 when I read the novel, and Jack's 5. So it just felt so true and so rich and so full of parallels with ordinary life. So it's not a book about captivity, it's not a book about a crime, it's not a book about abuse, it's a book about love and childhood and growing up and all these very important things. And I just felt it was such an original thing, and also a real challenge for a filmmaker, filming in a small room, filming a story in 2 halves,
Yeah, how was it filming in especially the beginning in the room? Was that challenging?
I thought, I thought it may be harder. In a way, I worried that it would be harder than it turned out to be. And what I did was with Danny Cohen and Ethan Tobin, the designer, we built like a really crude. We said, okay, just before we build this room at this size, which is very small, in case we have, we get in there and we end up having a panic attack that it's absolutely not going to work, let's build a crude version of it. So we built a crude version of it with like a basic furniture and the right shape. And we went in there with a camera and we started to look at it. And it became really clear that actually you still have, even in a space that small, you still have a tremendous amount of visual freedom. And although it involved lots of people in a very hot room, it's very uncomfortable physically to shoot in a space like that. Actually, it never felt... We didn't turn up in the morning and go, oh God, we've done it all. We've shot every angle. What are we going to do today to entertain ourselves? That never happened. It was always involving and always about what the story was at that point and not trying to introduce visual variation for its own sake. Not just going, oh, come on, let's do something crazy. That would be silly. So actually it was quite a rewarding experience to shoot in that space.
On the opposite, you want it to look oppressive.
Yes, indeed. So what's the point in trying
perfectly.
to, make it fancy?